right, welcome, Coach Boyle.
All right.
Can we just, guys, if you want to ask a question, just hit the chat for me real quick. And Coach, I'll just ask the first one. How was day one?
Well, it was good. It was actually, we feel like it was day 5 because we were able to go 4 workouts before today. But this was the first one with practice gear on and a practice plan that we posted for the players to see beforehand. So it was good. The players are so excited to be out here. Excited that this day has finally arrived with all the uncertainty that they've had to go through over the last 7 or 8 months. It's a good day.
All right, first question, Rod Mackey.
Coach, good to see you. Worried we weren't going to see you for a while. I know there was some frustration early on when the Pac-12 and everyone else was trying to figure out when to start college basketball. I got a question. It's kind of like I asked Coach Durrell. Athletes talk about when injuries happen, it makes you appreciate coming back more. Even though this wasn't an injury, is it kind of similar? The fact that it looked like it was taken away, you lost your chance to play in the NCAA tournament last year, and now you finally get to get back on the floor again.
Yeah, no, that's a great analogy, Rod. I mean, the injury, because I think, we talk about cherishing the moment and appreciating every day and every day you step on the floor, it could be your last for the season or certainly for the week or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I think when the whole season or NCAA tournament got taken away from our guys, it was an eye opener. It was painful because they'd worked so hard to get there, and then the off season, there was so much uncertainty that I think our guys all have that perspective now, whereas in the past, maybe just some of the guys that had been injured maybe had that perspective, but now everybody has it. And now it's incumbent upon us as coaches and certainly our players to step out on the floor with that in mind and compete and appreciate every single day.
Justin Guerrero.
Coach, appreciate your time. Good to see you after a while. I know it's certainly early to kind of get into this kind of stuff, but I did want to ask you just about your contingent of freshmen, and specifically just at this point in time, how you would kind of evaluate where they are mentally with their grasp of the terminology you guys use, and overall just how they've been adjusting or acclimating to college ball after coming out of high school.
Yeah, Justin, that's a great question. It's way too early to even answer that because our fall preparation was so unusual. We started out, one player per basket, and then we could go 2-on-2, and then we had a no contact rule that the Pac-12 put in place, and then we had the Boulder County order where we could only be in groups of 1 and then groups of 2. As that progressed for 14 days, so it has been the most unusual fall, which unfortunately for our incoming freshmen has maybe slowed their development because we haven't been able to go live. I mean, we weren't even able to guard the ball, play one-on-one basketball all fall. So, then we start going 5-on-5. Their conditioning is affected. Guys are just driving by people, and you get frustrated as a coach. But then you remind yourself, well, in a normal situation in August and September and the first couple of weeks of October, we would have been working on those kind of things, but we weren't able to work on them. So we're a little bit behind in terms of those freshmen. The veterans know, and conditioning has been an issue, but we're getting better with that over the last 4 or 5 days. So, all of college basketball started today. That much we know, as long as people don't have setbacks. And so I don't think there's huge advantages or disadvantages either way, but we're a little bit behind where we would normally be, especially those freshmen.
Pat Rooney.
Coach, we've seen in college football so far, kind of some stops and starts as far as games getting canceled and that sort of thing. Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen with basketball, but since you are all basketball guys, how much have you all maybe watched the NBA, see how that went through kind of seamlessly being in a bubble? I know you guys can't be in a bubble, but does that come up maybe when you start imploring to the guys about making right decisions and doing the right things off the floor?
Yeah, Pat, we don't even talk about the NBA because, again, that is not realistic, for college kids or college teams. We do talk about college football. We do talk about the NFL and the postponements that have happened and why they have. And, the risk for our players is not when they're in our facilities. I mean, we've proven that since June 7th. The risk to our players is when they leave our facilities and they're going out in the community or staying safe, in their apartments, in their dorm rooms, whatever the case may be, and making good decisions and acting respectfully and responsibly. And again, I knock on wood when I say this, but they've done an unbelievable job of that. And but we're going to have to continue to, because as we get closer to the season, we've been able to absorb 2 14-day quarantines for partial pieces of our team and the 14-day, non-gathering order from Boulder County. We've been able to overcome that. But going forward, it would be really, really difficult for us to overcome a situation where we had multiple guys quarantined for 14 days, because every practice now is critical for our development of putting a team on the floor that can represent the University of Colorado the way we want to do that. So we talk about it every day, Pat. I just keep my fingers crossed, and when those test results come back every day, but so far so good.
Fredrickson.
Hey, Tad, a lot of uncertainty, obviously, with how this season will be played out. But thinking about having McKinley right back to be the point guard of this team and everything else you return, does it feel like this is a team that has a NCAA tournament DNA?
Absolutely, Kyle. Without a doubt, this is an NCAA tournament team. Now, we have to go out and prove that, and we've got 4 less non-conference games to prove that. So the ones that we have become even more important. And then obviously we have a 20-game Pac-12 schedule this year rather than the normal 18 that we've played in years past. So this is a very interesting team in that we've got veterans that have been here, done that, and we've got a group of freshmen who have not. But the freshmen are really talented. They're very competitive. And the one thing that I've noticed in our first 4 or 5 workouts here as a team together that I love about our freshmen is they are not scared. They got a lot to learn. They got a lot to improve upon, but they compete and they are not scared. And that's a really good sign, because we're going to need, as this season goes on with the unknowns, we're going to need at times for some of those guys to be able to step up and give us minutes and contribute. So, but this is an NCAA tournament team without a doubt. I think McKinley Wright is one of the top point guards in all of college basketball. And one of the best players in college basketball. I wouldn't trade him for anybody. I said that when he was a freshman, and I sure as heck's I'm gonna say it again when he's a senior. He's a special player.
Justin Guerrero.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about your grad transfer, Jariah Horn, and if I'm not mistaken, he is the first grad transfer you brought in since you've been here at Colorado. And certainly not to suggest that you take it easy on him, but do you approach him a little bit differently maybe than one of your normal players early into camp, just him being a guy that has been in another big system?
Yeah, Justin, that's another good question. I would say no, I expect more from Jariah than I do maybe of the other freshmen, but your point that he is new to the program still, like the freshmen are, but he's got a lot of experience. He's a very savvy player. He's got great basketball IQ, and Jariah, he's not the most athletic guy that we've had, especially at that position, losing Tyler Bay, but he's really smart and he's really crafty, and he knows how to get his shot off, and he can really shoot the ball from the perimeter. So we're gonna expect more out of him early, and I need to probably coach him a little bit harder, to your point, and not treat him like a typical first-year player, because he does have 4 years of 3 playing college basketball, but 4 practicing college basketball under his belt. So we're going to need him to step up right away.
Okay, we have time for 2 quick more. Pat Rooney.
Coach, you mentioned how you didn't have any kind of one-on-one drills all fall. Are you doing everything in these first few days that you normally would, or will you be implementing things a little more slowly this year?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta, you gotta crawl before you walk, Pat. And so we're probably a little bit slower because, again, we didn't have the fall. So we've got to work on the guarding the ball type drills and some of the breakdown things. And our coaches are doing a lot of teaching, especially in the first maybe 20, 30 minutes of practice and putting new things in. And so we're going to have to move a little bit quicker as we go through these 30 practices than maybe we have in the past, because we don't have as much in for those new guys. But the good news is for our veteran players, they're used to it. And you could see that in today's practice. Our veterans were a little bit further ahead than where our freshmen were. But again, towards the end of practice, our freshmen were competing and actually won a competition at the end of practice. And to me, that's a great sign. So every day we've got to cherish it, and we've got to continue to get better. And our guys, I think more so this year than any year, they've got to be mentally ready at practice as much as they are physically ready for them to grasp and understand the concepts and the things we're putting in. And because the train starts leaving the station pretty early, and we don't slow that thing down waiting for guys to jump on. You better jump on right away, and you better strap it on, because there's a lot to learn.
All right, last one for Henry.
Hey, Coach, there were reports yesterday that the NCAA will grant an additional year of eligibility to winter athletes. I'm curious what your thoughts on that decision are.
Well, number one, I think the decision is a good one for student athletes, and that's that's who we're here to serve. So I think that's a fantastic decision. I don't know what the nuances are of it, and I haven't seen the legislation in writing. I want to know, there's some questions I have as a coach, in terms of what it's going to look like next year, because we are a sport that's limited to 13 scholarships. So I want to see what the back end next year is going to look like. But I think it's a great decision, certainly for the student athletes we have, on campus right now. It's not something I've talked to our guys about, but I want to wait until I know, 100% certainty what it's going to look like as we move through not only this year, but more importantly, next year.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.